Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to ICF Saturday interview series session, and today's session number 9. And today we will have Dola Basu Singh, who will be talking to Jyotirmoy Chaudhary. So we started this series with Dola, and today we have a role reversal kind of thing where she will be interviewing Jyotirmoy Chaudhary, who was recently also interviewed by a website, and that interview is available on LinkedIn. So somehow the timing seems to have worked well. A text interview followed by a video interview today. And for Dola, it's a part of a trilogy because tomorrow she is presenting a session on developmental editing also. So it's a cricket season also going on. So she will be scoring the hat trick tomorrow. And Jyotirmoy is a senior editor with 20 plus years of experience, and for the last 5 years he has been freelancing. And Dola has been a freelancer all along, and she is an award-winning author, and she works with a foreign website. Also, she's on their panel of editors. So, over to both of you to tell our viewers more about editing, branding, marketing, and other issues that are of interest to all of us.
Thanks, Vivek. Welcome to everyone, all of you who have joined us this Saturday evening. If you can't see me, it's because I'm in Punjab and it's all foggy, so please don't mind. You can see by my clothes how cold it is. Don't mind that you're not able to see me clearly. As Jyotirmoy just now said, he's going to give all the Jyoti to this interview today. So, Jyotirmoy, like Vivek said, he has 22 decades of experience as an editor as well as a researcher. He has experience working with very senior journalist Paranjoy Guhathakurta. So, Jyotirmoy, there were two things that I wanted to, two main things. Our interview will have two main topics. One will be, of course, your personal experience as an editor. The second thing is going to be about marketing and branding. So let's start off with you. Tell us more about you. We know that you have 2 years of experience. You work with non-fiction books ranging on all subjects. Like you've co-authored a book on gas and oil, and you do non-fiction projects. You are getting into fiction, art. So tell us more about you as a person, as well as an editor also. What do we don't know?
I think let me speak to myself about as an editor, kind of my career. That
Okay.
because it's also that's also the personal
Sometimes
thing.
our profession defines us.
Yeah.
Yes.
So see, I joined editing in standard college. Moved out of college in Delhi, in Hindu college. Then moved into Down to Earth, which is the Center for Science and Environment. They had a science and environment fortnightly, and that's where actually I learned the whole business of editing, because there were no courses in all those days. So you did your English literature course, you joined a job because you had to join a job. And those days, this was the 90s, you had great mentors in office. So this was very comfortable kind of spaces you had, where your bosses would inculcate a lot of stuff with you. And Down to Earth was also a news thing. So there was news, there was copy. So we all sort of learned together in a sense. Sometimes there were book projects also there. So that is how one went. And after that, and that is what you could do. So then you moved on. I was with an army journal also for 3 4 years. That was very
Okay.
exciting. That was a defense journal, trade journal. So
Wow.
in a sense, the business side of stuff. So it was exciting in a sense. You flew planes, you traveled abroad a little because these guys had money, right? So this was one kind of editing, writing, more of rewriting, managing an affair, because it was a private firm sort of thing.
Okay.
So then there was also, I was also with the military think tank. So all I'm just saying is you build up this thing. You were sometimes working in the National Archives, digging material. This was at the military think tank. So this kind of a thing. So you start learning small little skills actually, which sort of build up and you become useful to the organization you are with. I think many of us editors started out like that. But then I also had this fantasy of becoming a journalist. So Tehelka
Okay.
was offering a position with their new newspaper, which never really took off, called Financial World. So they gave me a very nice position in the sense special correspondent for environment and defense. So it was what should I say? It was not the best time really. Those 4 or 5 months I was there, the newspaper hadn't come out. I wasn't really geared to write stories because that has, so you are an editor, but you may not be a writer, sort of thing. So I think that way you train. But I think one of the exciting breaks came is after Tehelka, I was in the boondocks, but that is when I sort of moved with Poranjoy because that is something that you wanted to know also. And
Definitely.
when I went to Poranjoy, it was essentially what? He was writing this book, Gas Wars, for 2 3 years. He needed an editor essentially to clean up the text before it went to HarperCollins, which was publishing it. So I joined, and of course, not on a great pay packet or anything, because you had screwed up in Tehelka, and also it was a kind of place where you would revive yourself. But that's where it was. I think those 6 years became very exciting. Usme, in 2 years we did the book, and I ended up writing chapters in that book. What should I say? And
So in
wait,
Tehelka,
tell me.
no, I was saying, so in Tehelka, these you said 4 5 months you were not writing.
Yeah.
However, when you are working with Poranjoy,
Yeah.
suddenly you are co-authoring, you are writing chapters with
Yeah,
him.
but you know how that happened.
How was
It's
that?
See, it was not, that's why I didn't take ownership of the book at that point as a writer. I always considered myself as a researcher who was reading the documents, checking facts, putting in extra chapters, because already a lot of chapters had been written by Subir Ghosh, who was the other co-author, and who was at that time doing work somewhere else. He was with the newspaper then. And so I remember one August night actually. So Poranjoy suddenly gives me a call late at night and says that I have decided he'll be my co-author. Now, that was a very poignant moment, but I never really took ownership of the book as an author, even after that, after 2 3 years, until actually now, 2020, I took ownership of the book I wrote. That I can talk about later. But what's interesting is, so he said he will be my co-author because he put in a lot of work on this book. So he put my name in, and okay, so you became a co-author. But I never felt I was researching, collating, putting stuff. I was doing a job. So that excitement of the written word, which I used to see Poranjoy having. He was this grand reporter who at even 55 60, if there was a news story somewhere, he was as excited as he was a 21-year-old rookie reporter. That kind of excitement I never had. For me, the excitement was collecting the material, building it into a product, something that I'd always known and learned organically over the years. I had never learned the writer's craft, though here I was an editor. I am supposed to be writing also. This is what people say. So that's how it was. But of course, otherwise, Poranjoy's place was very exciting because you met fantastic people, because people would drop by. So Ram Gua would drop by, or some names like that. They would be talking to a staff also. 3 or 4 of us were there. So that kind of exciting experience, and you lived in a news environment which you had which you always wanted to be in, but you were never a writer. That writer excitement came to me last year, and in a very odd way, which we can talk about when we
We'll
talk
talk about it.
marketing,
Sure.
branding. Yeah. And that's how even the Poranjoy was a salaried thing. Once I moved out of Poranjoy, that's almost 6 years back, because Poranjoy shut his office, he went to EPW, Economic and Political Weekly. That is the point when I really set out solo as solo operator. And it was not that I was really wanting to do that then, because I'd always been in office. I had some place to go to. Suddenly, I had no place to go to.
It was thrust upon you.
It was thrust upon me in a sense. But okay, I was lucky that I had Authors Upfront who had published us, Manish Purohit and Authors Upfront. So he promised, I'll give you enough work, which he kept doing over the years. It's only last year, I think, when it's been a long time. I'm not saying it has not been an exciting journey. It has been placid, exciting. It has been a great journey editorially, in the sense I've always loved books. I've always wanted to make books, and I have done it. But last year I found a lot more excitement. Frankly, and excitement probably, I don't know, I'm feeling new. So that's what.
Great.
Yeah. So that is my main story, I would say. Yeah.
So from the experience working with Paranjay, what is that one thing? If I had to ask you, tell me one thing that you learned which will always be with you. What is that one thing?
One of the things I learned, which now I can use, which I'm using now that I'm trying to set up my own thing, is he was this journalist who also had a heart problem. And he was not supposed to do a number of things, but it was incredible the kind of hard work he used to put in that small office. And he was an independent journalist, so he had no funding from anywhere. So there were a lot of little things he used to do, like simple. Every morning I remember he used to have a long chit with all his to-dos written. And this man would clear all his to-dos always. So I'm just saying, that may be a very simple thing, but and he was a very well-known personality. But sitting with him, working on these sort of things, that little thing today is very important to me. I'm not saying the research, the writing, but the personality of this character, and working with him. That I think remains very exciting to me. The one of the most things that now I'm using many of those things that he used to do, rather than the research thing. I was always a good researcher because I had dreams of being an academician. I love to read, I love to take notes, love to write out stuff, in the sense collate out chapters, so a regular ordinary researcher kind of stuff. But people like these guys, when you work with, I also worked with Sunita Narayan in Center for Science and Environment on a important book project for 6 months. Again, a personality, very interested in working with these personalities, in the sense how they run their offices, how they work, how they communicate with other people. Those are things I could never use before. But now in the last 1 year, I've been using many of those tools. I'm saying they are tools. And I remember them because with Sunita also 6 months I worked closeted in our office as part of a team. We were doing this major water book. So it was fascinating. So I'm just saying, so it's interesting because I never worked in, I was never a great organization person. I was always a solo operator always. I would work solo with people, one-to-one. And I believe like that one-to-one you work and you build a kind of large caucus, which ICF I find nowadays.
Which I think we are still working one-to-one. However, keeping our editorial business organized is even more important because we do not have anybody to fall back on. So even more important to learn those skills. So have you adopted that checklist to-do thing into your own?
Yes, I think I have, because I started, this is that ICF story which I've been writing about a lot, because for me it has been epiphanic what happened last year. Last year in March, I was hunting around for more client sources beyond Authors Upfront because work was drying up. And then one day, I think, who was it? Priya Talwar. She suddenly called up, and I don't even recall why she called up, and she told me about ICF. I was circumspect about ICF and all these things because by that time, after Tehelka and everything else, I didn't like interacting too much. I was just happy getting good books, which I would edit, send it out. I didn't want to talk to people. But since then COVID hit, I didn't have anything to do. I decided I'll go and talk. So I started speaking to Vivek. Ek do mahina, 1 or 2 months, there were this thing that, we were thinking of, ICF was thinking of going into doing, becoming an association and stuff like that. So I thought maybe I could help, but it didn't work out. Then this webinaring thing started, and that's when I suddenly found a fantastic community who were actually willing to share their own knowledge. They were willing to, in a sense, hold hands together. This is how I felt. There were people extremely kind out there. And those webinaring process started where we all know, there were some excellent webinars in that July, August thing. And that's where this personal branding course came in, where, there was this lady called Sumedha who gave a personal branding 101 for, one day. And then on a paid 1500 thing for just a week, she gave some more stuff. Few of us had joined. I think a couple of editors from this community had also joined. And then she offered a 101, what she called personal branding. Now, for me, I just had a couple of projects from Authors Upfront, then large projects, which was, feeding my system. So I just thought, let's join up. And that really changed a lot of things, frankly.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So let's get into that.
Yeah.
What in that workshop? So you said Sumedha was giving that workshop. Many people have attended. Some people took her up on an offer. Some people didn't. What about it? Not just the workshop, but the concept of branding and marketing your editorial business. What made you stop and think that I need to do this?
The first thing is because I was so chary of people before that. One thing, but I had been watching people, reading people for a long time. When Sumedha gave her talk, I somehow thought here was this person who had gone through some of those things that people like me had gone through, and she wouldn't ditch me. Because a lot of us, I feel, I'm talking about myself, but I have a feeling that a lot of us desky type of people who don't get too much traction outside, and we are locked up in desks with sometimes very abusive bosses in these newspaper offices and magazine offices. It's a kind of crazy kind of life. We don't have the traction where we can really open out. Let's say a reporter, if they are good at their stories, they are once they're on the road, they'll get something and it's exciting for them. For us, it's not. So so I was very chary of people. So that is something that Sumedha I understood that she'll take us forward. And then the marketing 101 she had given was very clear. She was introducing us to many tools. I'm talking about the one she did for everybody in this thing. She was introducing webinar. She was introducing us to many tools which were useful. I also thought she was telling us that all of you matter, all of your voices matter. And during that COVID season, that was very exciting, music to the ears. See, these kind of talk people say. And one important thing, it was done in a very comfortable atmosphere. I felt, and I'm here saying, really, this is exactly how I felt. I was sitting among really close friends. Frankly, I hadn't met anybody ever, this whole community. But ICF was so wonderful at that time. Maybe it was that moment. Maybe it may not happen later. Maybe it wasn't before. I don't know. But that moment was fantastic. It helped me take a decision, make that leap. So I really think the community and the trustworthiness of the speaker is what made me decide more than the content. But also the content was very well designed. And it was easy to digest for somebody who was already quite senior and who thought one couldn't learn anymore. But that already ICF had started dispelling. Because one thing was that over-competitive atmosphere and that incestuous atmosphere of the Delhi publishing world or the Delhi newspaper world, where I'd spent 20, 25 years. If from college, I've been spending time, and many of my friends are reasonably well-placed in many of the well-placed newspapers. They're all. So it's very incestuous. They don't let outsiders enter, which is one of the things in ICF I found exciting. A lot of outsider people working on the thing, which the trades people also do. You get me what I'm saying?
There is a lot of camaraderie and acceptance. In the sense, everybody, yes, exactly.
Yes, that's there. But also, ICF is a group of a lot of self-employed people.
True.
Yeah, but some of like somebody like you have never been in the publishing world, really, if I'm not mistaken. Not from you don't come from the OUPK, I have no problem with them, but I'm just saying, you don't come
Yes,
from,
definitely.
you're self-made, self-built in a sense. Yes, you had your social media thing with AP, whatever. That is something you should actually tell us. You didn't tell us in the last interview, because that's also a marketing branding story which needs to be told. So I found all that very exciting. And I think that's where Vivek, see, I'm taking names here because some names you know more. So here, Dola Basu Singh, Inderpreet, then Dagny, they all seem to be this, they don't come from the direct publishing world, but they've done such wonderful work in publishing related work. Even Nirja, I presume, or somebody like Murugraj, of course, they come from a publishing sector or different this thing, but they're all doing their own thing. Then you had Venkat's courses; those were very inspiring. Okay, Dr. Venkat's courses, and Vivek himself, I think is this. He's here, but I'm not praising. But I think is also a model to speak of. It's interesting. He's not sitting in New Delhi and running almost 2,500 group with so many WhatsApp groups, this thing, such a powerful, I think it's an extremely powerful caucus of editors. So I think it's a model to follow. And the great thing is, as I'm saying, it's the non-metro people who are doing a lot of work here. And that is something we need ahead going forward, because those people don't have a voice. See, I was lucky I was part of the Delhi crowd. I also screwed up at times because I have a kind of a bindas nature, and I have never had to worry too much about, being in a job all the time because don't have family and responsibilities. But that's why this ICF thing was very powerful. I think it was the thing I needed in 2020. And then, of course, the marketing thing itself with Sumedha, that's a personal journey. That's been very exciting,
So let's talk about that. What are some of the changes that you've made to
one of the
your
first
business or to your lifestyle or anything? What are some of the changes?
Yeah. I think one of the biggest changes that has happened is I really see myself as a brand, in the sense.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yes, I'll tell you how I see it. So this boring desky, graying hair desky, suddenly feeling 20. And how does one feel 20? So one of the first things we did was an audit of all my work. And suddenly, when I did an audit of all my work for all these years, I suddenly realized that I had actually done a lot of work. I had done quite a bit of quality work. I had worked with very interesting people. Their stories, the stories they wrote, the stories that I inculcated, and many of my own thoughts over the years, they were all stories worth telling. And this was something to really go forward with. And another very interesting tactic she worked on, these are simple things, maybe many of you knew about it, I don't know, didn't know that these things happen. She made me do a simple feedback form, asked me to write to all my authors of the last 5 to 10 years. I wrote to a host of them. At least 30% of them replied. Only 2 of them gave extremely negative feedback, in the sense they were viscerally, unhappy with what I had done with their books. And it's interesting, I was also viscerally unhappy with them as persons, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, because I had very bad time with them when I was working, but otherwise I had some interesting feedback. And there was simple feedback. Like one author told me that after you have done 2 edits and we have finalized the book, when you're doing the final proof checking, just because you think there is some value addition, just don't do that value addition at that moment, because I am a new author. I'm not a writer per se, I'm an engineer. I got very frightened by what you were doing. So it was interesting to know. It was that actually, tips like this helped me to actually pinpoint that where I was going wrong. Because when you're working solo in this kind, this is not a publishing setup where 3 or 4 of us there, so there is checks and balances, so you cannot scare your client. And it's a genuine. So all I'm just saying is you started really empathizing with the author's pain points. That is
Wonderful.
when the feedback came.
Really
Before
important.
that, I'll tell you, I'll be honest, Manish Purohit of Authors Upfront would often explain to me. He's been also a mentor in this, personal journey, in the sense, post office solo journey, right? But I couldn't understand these things until I got this feedback. It really got into my head, because then I started understanding directly what they were saying. And one thing is and also another thing, many of these people, I'll be honest here, this is something editors should never do. Couple of these authors you actually look down upon because their writing was not that great. Intellectually you thought you were far superior. Maybe that kind of attitude I learned was not the right attitude, because each feedback I got was so precise.
Wonderful.
They were
Really important.
they were so intelligent, you understand, and that is where my think so that's what I'm saying. So that's where your empathy for people starts changing. When your empathy for people starts changing, the people also respond better to you. So it was not always that they were the
It's a
enemy.
win-win.
It's no,
Definitely.
and in an office situation क्या होता है बहुत time में everybody becomes the enemy, you become the victim. So I would say we started with, so it's interesting, you didn't go to a therapist, but you started releasing victimhood through a marketing campaign. I was amazed. I've still not been able to understand how that happened. Maybe the time was right.
You how that happened?
Huh?
I'll tell you how that happened.
You tell me.
And I've just realized this right now when I'm
Okay.
talking to you and listening to you.
Yes.
The first thing that she made you do was audit your own work. When you do that, like you said, you didn't realize you had worked with so many important people.
Yes.
You'd
Yeah.
worked with so many important books.
Quality
when you
books.
realize that,
Yeah.
exactly. When you realize that your confidence as an editor grows, you become better
Yeah.
as a person also. And that is where that empathy thing came from. When you are not shrouded in misconceptions,
Yes.
you're looking at things the way they are instead of how you are perceiving them. I'm not sure if,
I agree.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I think there was something here. I started hearing this echo,
Buzz.
my own echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was saying that when we are not, once we have confidence in our own abilities, it shows in how we project ourselves.
Yes.
So that first point was really important. What else? Yeah, I'm
So,
sorry I interrupted you.
Not at all. This is a subject I can talk about a lot because this is so fresh and so important to me right now. So that certainly was there. So we did this feedback forms. I started writing to people, and then she also started doing something which was always my deepest scare. And this scare is the one that got, in a way, see, Tehelka, the newspaper shut down. But if it hadn't shut down, they would have kicked me out because I wasn't giving them stories. Just
You were
like
writing.
I was not writing the stories. I always used to talk a lot about defense because after 4 years with a defense mag and coming from a defense background, talking defense was not a problem. And I was an extremely well-read guy. So that was not a problem. But my bosses were worried. How was this guy not being able to produce stuff? When the newspaper starts, what happens? I think I wrote only 4 stories for the dummy paper that time, which is a shocking thing for a special correspondent, right? So she put me through, and this is interesting. You have to start writing on LinkedIn. And it's simple. LinkedIn is about algorithms. You have to write certain kind of stuff.
Why LinkedIn? Why did you zero in on LinkedIn? Why not Facebook?
That is, I think, was her decision to a point. And also, I think Vivek was there in a sense. And Vivek had told me, this is my side. Vivek had said he had got a lot of work out of LinkedIn. Okay.
So this is really important to me. And I think to many of the editors, let's discuss that. For example, someone like me, if I have such an audience over the years, see, I was always a reader and first a writer, and then I became an editor.
Right.
So my social circle was always full of readers first, wherein we were all talking about books only.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I expanded it into so many writers, because I was a writer and I was talking with them.
Yeah.
And then finally I became an editor. So I have already this platform wherein if I post something, for example, if I say any post, any editing, writing related post on my Facebook gets a lot of traction. Whereas there's nothing, nada on LinkedIn. Because
Okay.
of course I understand I haven't developed that platform. But I will choose Facebook because I think that's where the authors are. Those are my clients and they are there.
Okay.
Why do you think there are many people on LinkedIn or
See,
Why?
I think ek to tha, I already had a because of the kind of people I had worked with, I had already had a very strong contact base. Not really authors, bosses.
Right.
But I'm using these bosses in a kind of quote unquote way, but senior folk. So somebody like Poranjoy, Shubir, these were all senior journalists. These are just two names because they are part of my territory, or even Manish. They were all linked to me. Okay. Not that they are not on Facebook. Manish doesn't do any of these too much. Achha, my Facebook, what I had done was I had deleted my Facebook towards the end of Poranjoy's, office journey. For a certain personal reason. I had just got too fed up. Let's share this because this is also important. I saw all my friends, and many of them are very famous people. Famous in the sense they've done well for themselves. I use the word famous in a very this roundabout way. So there was a friend who was taking holidays in the French in a French vineyard. Somebody was doing a holiday somewhere else. I felt very low at that point because that last year of Poranjoy's was anyway very low for various reasons, not work-wise, but things were shutting down, things were not moving. The things which you wanted to do, you were not doing, the estimation of yourself you were not reaching that. So at that time, I just deleted all this because they were psychologically disturbing me. So I think LinkedIn at that point when we chose was, if I remember right, was also more, I had more contacts there. And maybe, see, this is interesting you ask me, we have never discussed this, but it has helped me because a lot of these people, see, I have not exactly always been just an editor. If I could have developed myself, I could have been, let's say, a thinker. I could have been a thought person. Nowadays, you have people like that, right?
I wish everybody paid me for thinking.
Yeah, if we could. Yeah, no, but now there is a model that's possible. There are people who are selling today, if you have a cracking developmental editing course and a fiction editing course and you speak well and it's enjoyable to speak to you, I will go to you because I also want that time. That is one of the things was fantastic with Sumedha. Sumeda's face, we wouldn't really talk on a video because of at that point my bandwidth issues and all. But Sumeda's voice, she had the ability to train a 45-year-old guy just by her voice and presentations. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's just fantastic. Her voice, and it's not that her voice is anything, made me excited or something. Sorry, the way I talk, but it's simple. The way she could suck this thing in. Attention in, yeah. So it was fantastic. And there are, I have been following a lot of, all through COVID, I have been following a lot of this talk shows. There is a business in it if we can develop it. And people like us, we can all develop it. We can also help each other out. I am myself interested in going into that. I am interested in going into voice in the long run, but it's going to take some time for me to build a little while longer. But maybe chaps like you can already start doing it like you're already planning to do it because you're very comfortable, as I see, talking to people on this thing. Or Venkatsa, for example. He talks wonderfully to people, like as if he's sitting in their drawing room and talking to them. But he still has a lot of command.
Maybe the trick is that.
But he has also got a command on his following. You can't screw around with Venkat when he's talking.
Not in a professional environment.
He's so professional. Yeah. So we see a lot of these problems people like us editors have is we don't actually know how to communicate. Though our job is to remove the communication barrier between message and reader, we actually don't we are not that great at communicating. because communication is not just written communication. You will also, once you don't know the verbal communication bit, how do you handle, how are your characters talking? So, editors needed more than reporters. And what happens in our newspaper, at least that time, the media, when I was there, the reporters, one of the things I used to hate in Town Tour, the reporters would throw their copy and walk out. You have to really call them to get their copy fixed. So they were out in the bar partying, and I was here late at night doing their copy. I didn't like that at all. But over the years, with the web coming in, a lot of this changed. Editors also became writers through the blogging medium and other medium. I didn't capture those mediums, it's a different matter, but I found the power of those mediums last year. So that's how I started writing on LinkedIn. And when the community, primarily the ICF community was very supportive on LinkedIn. Okay.
Definitely.
So
everywhere, on Facebook also and on LinkedIn.
I'm sure I will build my Facebook later, but LinkedIn is fine for me right now, because it was also for me.
I think it's important to concentrate. You cannot spread yourself so thin. Twitter bhi karo, LinkedIn bhi, and then Facebook also. That's where it's.
And one important, when I went into Sumeda's personal branding thing, I went with an open mind. I knew where I was going. I knew this was somebody who could probably break into my mind. And so I was willing to take that experiment. Don't go feeling that you will get hundreds of one, and editing mein utta clients nahi hai all the time. Though Vivek says hai, I doubt. So you have to fight it out, right? But you have to first feel good about yourself. So for me, it was a very interesting, it was a kind of twisted way of getting into a zone and trying to see if I could, COVID may see everything closed down. So I said, okay, let's see if I can use this period, kind of a yoga class, mental yoga class for me, sort of thing. I had done yoga before that, and 2 or 3 years, and I had enjoyed it then. Then I left because I left. I couldn't sustain it. That is another thing which I'm learning from Sumeda's course, which I'm still continuing, that you have to sustain it. It's not that easy to sustain. It takes a lot of time and energy, and I have not been successful all the time in sustaining. But also a lot of things you learn. You learn to take each small win, as an exciting milestone crossed. And that small, so you don't look for that huge wins. You look for those small wins, small wins, small wins. So sometimes I think when I was growing up, if in my school system, they had taught me this kind of a small win thing, instead of telling me that guy is a better goalkeeper and you are nobody, I would probably have at least been a good dribbler, if nothing else. And I'm just saying, that is the system. That is where this whole thing of ICF webinars, all of them is fantastic, because all of you are willing to share so much.
True.
So, and though of course, Vivek has been telling me that not too many people always join. He wants more people to join. He seems to have a movement. He wants to make a movement and all that, whatever. But it's still a fantastic group. These are all kinds of little things have been happening, and I've been learning these little things. So anyway, so the writing thing. So she started, and writing has always been a pain for me. But there came a time in October. Now, this was an epiphanic moment. And I had also a professor friend of mine, teaches abroad. He often, over the years, he's been a very close friend. So he knows my problem. So he was also at that time finishing his novel. And by the way, that's gone with, who's that guy? David Godwin, right? The famous, so he's picked it up, that book. Okay. So, so that should be interesting when it comes out, and so historical sort of stuff. So he was also there, but I think, one of the things I'd asked Sumeda one day was, why should I speak about all this, whatever I have done? I have not done much. I was just a copy editor. I was cleaning up some shit. So I was into that kind of a dump hole. So what have I, he says, and should I speak about this? How can I speak about this? She said, this is your work. You have done this work. So why can't you speak about your work? It's you who has done it, nobody else. Good, bad, ugly, you should be able to speak about it. I think this motto, and whatever we were doing, something happened to me. And for the first time, sometime in October, this was this moment, my words started rolling. I'm not saying I'm writing every day now, but I don't have any fear when I write. Today, if you ask me to write on something, I will send you some copy. Pakka.
Great.
That's a huge breakthrough because I've seen other people struggling with it. I remember what happened to me those 4 terrible months in financial world / the Helka. Right? I even see places like
No,
Vayu.
it's very real. What you're talking about is so real.
Yeah, and lot of and
Since I
writers.
started,
Yeah. Tell me. You tell me. Since you started.
no, I was saying since I started editing, my
Yes.
writing has taken a backseat in the sense
Yeah.
I have won awards for my short stories.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to write a short story, then it will take me I don't know how many months. So
Yeah.
this block, our editing brain interacting
Yes.
with our writing brain is very real.
Yes, but for me there was also a different kind of fear. My major fear was, see, Poronjoy found that
The
fear
confidence
Listen,
fear.
this is important. Poronjoy told me this fear. Poronjoy told me it's not that it's about writing that you can't write. I used to say I can't write. He says it's not that you can't write. You are not thinking. You're not thinking clearly. You don't think. Thinking is hard for you. You don't want to think. But that was a kind of the master telling you this is not done. But here somebody else was telling me ki, just go, I don't know. She gave me that push. She said your voice matters, right?
Great.
So that fear of thinking out, and the fear, most important, yes, the fear that your voice is important and somebody else out there might actually like it and read it.
Very important.
So, when the ICF people started liking a couple of pieces, and they were all genuine. One thing I knew about the people who were liking or commenting on my page, none of them were the types who would just do it for sake. I thought they meant it, they meant my good. Okay, so they said what they had to say, and some of them also replied separately in the sense, on the WhatsApp and all that. So I knew there were people who were interested in listening to your voice. That mattered a lot to me. That helped in breaking the fear also, So that deep-seated fear that your voice doesn't matter. I think writers, maybe a lot of our writers have this fear. Probably. One needs to see.
I'm sure everybody has.
So that helped a lot. And that made me free.
So-
I'm really free there now. Totally. And I'm feeling, and the fact that I can speak so personally about it now in public is that I'm really free. And it's interesting, a therapist didn't do it. A marketing manager did it.
True.
And people like marketing people and all, I never used to take them seriously. I always used to look down upon them because they had not read Karl Marx or something like that. But just something like that. So
That's a typical Bengali thing.
whatever. I'm just saying this is Karl Marx.
My dad would have copies of the Communist
Or maybe they
Manifesto.
didn't have Heidegger. Or they did, a lot of my literature professors, they used to read these big books. I love books, I love thought. But when we start getting in love with big books, that's a problem. We should love thought, we should love, that's where I think your writing ability will also help, because you have to think differently. You have to think simply. You have to think about how people are thinking, other people are thinking. And that's where the conversations have been very good. Because until I listen to the other perspective, ICF has given me this incredible space, because I was totally in a blind alley. Yes, I had work, I was fed, I was looked after. But I was in a blind alley for 5-6 years post Poronjoy. And even the Poronjoy's world was a very rarefied world, because there was a world of well-known people. A single independent journalist, well-known journalist. So in your office, you met the biggest people. They had already reached their goals. You are not meeting people who had not reached their goals. These were guys who would meet all their targets except when they had a heart attack or something had happened to them. I'm just saying.
Right.
These were target-oriented people. So ordinary folks like me, we don't need those people. We need people like ourselves and move up there. That's what I'm saying. And that's where ICS has been Very good, and we must carry this on. Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I have a question from Inderpreet. She's
Yeah.
asking how to handle a client who doubts and double checks your work. Can't
I
stop the work, obviously.
No, you can't. I have had 2 or 3 bad experiences. So in one bad experience, I mishandled it very badly. But I mishandled it very badly because at the first shot, what we do is we do a sample edit. Okay. So I'm just saying, so in that, for this author, for some reason, without doing a sample edit, we moved ahead. So he had not agreed to my work. I had not agreed to his work style. He was a self-help guy and he was a terrible person. So I'm just saying, at one level, shuru mein, if you set out the parameters, it might help. But one thing that has always helped me, these negative chaps, I have never been able to handle, and I try not to take those kind of people on. But within the process, it's those kind of things I spoke about, which you need to be aware of. You have to be aware of the author's point of view, in a sense that they can get stressed, for example. So I'll give you an example. I finished just one project. It was a large healthcare book. Okay. So there was a series editor on the other side. Now he has his bosses. So his bosses are very good, very well-known good people. So he has to answer to his bosses. So there's a lot of pressure on this guy all the time. So like last night, finally, after the final thing, he said, I hope I don't have to work late nights anymore on this project, right? Because they had sent this project with very badly done referencing. So it took a lot of time for us to build the referencing, where I actually ended up finding out a lot of the reference to Ski Hub, SCIHUB and others, and help build it. So what I'm trying to say is, I realized that all the time I was very empathetic to this fact that he had 2 very senior bosses sitting on his head, and this project was so important for him. So his stress levels also I had to manage in a sense. So often he would take me on periodic calls. This is not part of the plan because this project comes from a different agency. I'm not supposed to be talking so much to him. But for an hour he would speak, and I realized when I spoke to him, he was just trying to, he was just using me as a sounding board to tell himself that he had done his job by his bosses. So I'm saying a huge level of empathy seems to be necessary for this one-to-one projects that we do in the self-publishing or solopreneur sector, or whatever you want to call it. So I think that has helped me in constantly measuring and I never break down communication. When they send me an email, I invariably answer them within 24 hours, that sort of thing. But those really bad guys, I have never been the 2 bad guys I'm telling who also gave me bad reviews.
Bad guys.
No, they were bad people. They were not nice people. Because I have met authors a couple of times who have screwed up in the sense, maybe there are some mistakes which shouldn't have been there. They have been extremely supportive. You have learned a lot from your authors. But these 2 people were terrible people personally. So these I don't know. But any other person, I feel, that's what I'm saying. You have to know, I think we have to understand their pain points. And I know too much conversation can be a killer in an editing process, because sometimes these authors start calling you all the time. Like from one author, she had written stories, lives in Bombay. I had 672 WhatsApp messages. I have still saved it up just as a souvenir. Right.
672.
72. Yeah. That was actually my first fiction book. Before that, I had never done a fiction book. And she had written interesting stuff. But she used to fly a lot for whatever reason. She had a job where she was in the UK sometimes, in India sometimes. So at all times of the day, there was SMSs coming. WhatsApp coming. So I think that has helped me. But I know I haven't. I am now.
So do you think it is important to establish some boundaries with your authors at the very outset?
Yes, that's what I said. Boundaries means, first of all, I do that sample edit helps us a lot. Is they say yes to my style of editing. because different editors, if I send the copy to you, I'm sure you will have lots of things to say to it. And maybe when your copy comes, I will probably have some things to say to it. Right. So, right. So so kya hota hai? So you have to be your author. And another thing, see, one of these bad authors, what he was doing is, he would send my copy to his daughter who was studying in Miranda House and constantly sending me feedback via her that my copy was scrapped. So after a while it was so, but
How did you manage it?
it became unmanageable.
Yeah, something like this is what I want to,
This was, I was lucky it was not a one-to-one project on this thing. I don't know what I would have done. This was a project where Authors Upfront was involved, and Mr. Purohit of Authors Upfront is an incredible manager, but even he had a bad time. But like, he has been very good to me, so he has never ticked me off on this project. But I'm just saying, he managed the thing to a great, but even then we couldn't manage it. We had to do exactly what he said. We had to do rounds of editing, and because it was an agency, Authors Upfront, so we had to keep our flag flying, right? So we couldn't really, but yes, we managed it in a way. And funny thing is, he was very polite otherwise. He was a senior officer in the government of India. Some of these guys are real shit. Okay. No, they are. Come on, I come from a Sarkari family, but some of these guys are very, very bad. Okay. And he thinks you're his office, office boy or something like that. So we had a very tough time. I don't know how we just finished the project, and 6 months it took. A project that should have been finished in one month. So it was a bad project. This other guy who gave me a negative, his thing was still, in a sense, his thing we could still track, because what happened was, he cleared the edits and he had cleared the sample edit also. But then what he started doing, he started rewriting some of the stuff, and he started getting muddled up. Okay. So we could actually catch him and sort of roll back some of his changes, and we could fix that book. But later, when I had asked him for a feedback, he still gave me a negative feedback, because the feedback I asked 2 years later, that is last year. Okay. So when I asked for the feedback, he gave me a negative feedback. Though it's interesting, when I said, will you recommend me to others as an editor? He said, yes, I will. So he was not that bad. But in the sense, this government officer was really bad. He was hateful. So I don't know, what do you do with a hateful person? I really don't know. This was the only bad experience I had. So,
I would only say that, say, for example, if I am in your place, if I was in your place, this seems like a really tense situation.
Yeah, this one was very tense.
The only thing that will help me, someone like me, come out of it is, think that this is the author's book. This is not my book. Do what the author is saying.
No, that's what we did towards the end.
No, not what I think should be done right here. There are two different.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree.
That's what we did towards the end.
Exactly. I think that is the only way in such a situation. You think, okay, this is your baby. I will treat your baby how you want me to treat it.
But I have been, as I'm saying, now probably this new journey I'm taking, where I'm hoping to get solo clients on my own, I'll have to watch out, because see, most of the finance, when I have done solo clients in the last 3-4 years, they have been people I've known for years. So there has been no contract, nothing. It's all relationships. Okay. So sometimes your money comes before you've even asked for it. So those are very few and far between. Now I'm getting into the territory which probably Inderpreet and all of you have already been there. Because see, a lot of this work already was coming to me from Authors Upfront. So Authors Upfront was taking the shocks of the managerial shocks a lot.
Yeah,
Though I did a lot of author communication.
So I think now, the taking in advance is going to be the best thing to do if you're going to go for solo clients.
Yeah, but Inderpreet, I have in December, I got a project. This is a very odd project with a lovely pieces of writing. It was again an NGO kind of thing. They have paid me the whole money. They wanted to pay me the whole money. They just wanted to fix it. And now after 5 articles, somewhere in the middle of December, they said, we want to rewrite some of these. So we'll come back to you. Don't worry. And we will renegotiate and work out more money if necessary. We'll come. And so they have paid money and gone off, and no reply from them. They said they'll come back to me. It's a very odd project. I don't know what to do with that also. Only in January, I said Happy New Year and wrote to them. They haven't written back to me. So this is one of the new projects I've got through the LinkedIn channel. Okay. So so all this LinkedIn and all, for me, it's still new territory. I have still not been able to garner many jobs from there. There's still a lot of work but I think I took 6 months for something which probably I should have resolved much before in my life. So I think this journey has been very, very fruitful. So maybe if some of you who are already well-rounded characters, maybe you will find much more traction in these marketing kind of things if you have the right person. You will know exactly what you want to do. For me, it has also been an organic journey. So first, Sumedha had a planned journey for me, but then she couldn't plan anymore because I started becoming unplanned. Because I got excited about this writing. So she started taking on a writing mentor coach area, which was not something that she had signed up for. But I think she did brilliantly. So I'm just saying, there's a hell of a lot of talent out there. So as I told Cynthia, we should really move to conversations, collaborations, that kind of thing. So it works.
Okay, Subhinita has another question. She's asking, at this time and age, is it necessary to do a course on editing to be an editor? If not, how should we start?
No,
and she's writing.
This I'm very clear on. If you today can afford a course, see, my problem is today, if I could afford a CIEP course or liminal pages fiction course, liminal pages, right? Yeah, fiction course, I would have probably taken it, right? Or frankly, I'll be honest, even Venkat sir's course, which is like 15 grand, which is a grammar refresher, I wouldn't mind taking it up if I could pay immediately. But it's not so easy for us editors to pay. That's the big problem. And it's expensive, these courses. Otherwise, I would say doing a course is good. A special like CIEP has the introductory course. So maybe an introductory course is a good idea. It will give you the rudiments if you have not been in a editorial sector. And I don't know what is the kind of mentorship available now in the magazines or newspapers. First of all, there are not too many jobs anymore, right? When I joined my job, I was in college. My professor, he was also doing work with Center for Science and Environment, Down to Earth. He gave Sunita a call. I got a job. I didn't go through an interview through the board. I met Sunita in the office and I got a job. That was the way you got the job. Because my professor, he was very good. He said, this boy is very good, take him. And I didn't fail them. They didn't fail me. Okay. And those boss, and it was really rigor on the shop floor, as they say. It's like in the boxing ring. At those years, sometimes, like I remember my news boss there, I was on the copy, but the news boss, Sopan Joshi, he used to give us a talking to. But today I realize the only understanding of news, what is news I have, is from Sopan. But I was not a reporter, but he would tute us on the copy, so we understood what news is all about. Right. Same thing when we did the books for Center for Science and Environment. We had a terrific guy there, not one, 2 or 3 fellows who were there. We had a design boss who's art director at that time, who actually taught me how to see pages on screen. And he taught me that text is a part of design. Text is not just what you edit and what you write. So when you do a magazine or even a book, you have to see the whole thing as a visual element. He told me art department people see text as a visual element. So I started seeing pages differently. That's how you learn production, right? I'm talking about a journal here, and even in book production, it helps a lot, especially when you're getting into big anthologies or this NGO kind of material. So I don't know about the mentorship. So the point is, because I've not been in these offices for a long time, if the mentorship is not there, you really need to take a course. and it's worth it. And that's why I think in India we have to devise courses where we can give affordable courses, and maybe like Venkat sir had suggested, he'll give, he'll break it up into three parts, that 12,000 or 15,000, whatever. So, or that is exactly how I did a course with Sumedha. Okay. Sumedha takes very little for me per month, but it amounts to something for her as a professional at the end of 6 months. Okay. Is the same model that so today, if you want to do a website on Wix, you either pay per month or you pay the whole amount, 2,200 or whatever, things like that. So you can do a part this thing and get something. It's like buying software, right? So I recently did Wondershare Filmora for 584 rupees for 1 month because I need it for something. I don't have to pay 6,000. So that module way is maybe one way. I don't know what, but going back to her thing, we need to train with a professional course if we don't have mentorship. And I don't know whether we have the mentorship in offices anymore. That is, people who have worked in offices, they'll be able to tell me. I have been out of the office.
Even if we do not have mentorship in offices, Subhinita, you can always get, on the ICF channel, ask if somebody experienced in your field of editing. I don't really know what you edit, but whatever field it is, there would be some experienced person who might be interested in mentorship. So you can always give your details on the ICF not the website, LinkedIn or Facebook page, the ICF group, and you can ask if somebody is willing to.
She has another question I've done once as an experiment, that the author liked it. Does the experience count? Yes, that is one way of doing it, because I know of editors who are doing, some other job. Okay, so a lot of army officers' wives. I'm not taking Indy here specifically, but I'm talking about one in my work colleague circuit. She was a brilliant school teacher. But what happens, because of the army job, they keep shifting. Now she's been transferred to Delhi. But Beach Mein, 3 years back, she took up this thing of editing because her language skills were so good. So among some of the first 2 books, I looked into a little bit of things. So where I helped her at that point was, I just on the style sheet bit. Otherwise, her language skills were superb, or are superb. So she does, but see, a chap like me, I earn totally out of this thing. I don't have any other earnings. But if there's somebody who has a possibility, like she has an army officer husband, so he gets in a salary. So she has the opportunity to do. Now she can't teach; she's editing. Maybe she'll take up a teaching job also now that she's in Delhi. Maybe I'm just, talking hypothetically. And she can also be editing books of friends and family who like her work. So this last question she asked, does the experience count? I think every experience counts.
Definitely. And moreover, Subhinita, to make that experience count, what you have to do is get in touch with the author, ask them for a reference or a testimonial that you can then use on your on your portfolio, on your website, or wherever you promote your services.
Or do this feedback form I did.
Do the feedback form.
It's definitely a very powerful thing.
So have some quote from the author that you can then use.
Yeah.
You can use her as a reference. If you get a prospect, you can always refer that, I've done work with her, and you can check with her.
See, for solo operators, one thing I've learned is a repeat client, or maybe any business person, a repeat client is very important. So if somebody is coming, so that's where all this, a solo operator has to keep collecting good testimonials all through their journey. When we are part of large professional caucuses, you're part of this newspaper system, that system, often we forget to do all this because we're already with a large brand. But where you're yourself trying to brand yourself, you have to keep collecting testimonial feedback. So a lot of extra work. You have to get into a discovery with the author or your client. So you get into a discovery form, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of work involved, and every day I'm learning new things. And not that I can implement all of them. Some of them I forget, some I implement, but I certainly have moved a lot forward from where I was last March. Lot forward,
Wonderful.
incredibly forward. Yeah. The fact that I can confidently speak to you in my little Hindi, little English, whatever, is itself a huge thing for me, because I would be so scared to go up out there. The next thing would be conquering the stage. That is what I'm still fearful of.
I'm sure you will get there also. It was really interesting
Thank
learning
you.
about you as
But
a
we need
person,
to
as
know
an
about
editor.
we need to know about your AAP story. Do you want to say this today? A little bit. Aam Aadmi Party social media story.
Some other day.
Some other day.
Some other day. But I do wanted to I know that you enjoy editing references. Do you want to share something about that? I also wanted to ask you Gas Wars, about your experience. But we are a little short
No, no.
of time, so maybe
So
quickly.
Gas Wars experience was, see, editing, researching, editing, a project like that gets interesting if you are interested in financial journalism, for example. Shuru mein I wasn't, but then I started I started seeing the investigative fun in it, right? So the whole production of that Gas Wars book was a very exciting thing. But the most exciting thing was when we got 100 crore notice from the Ambanis. It was not a court case, but it was a notice that they sued us, that they will sue us for 100 crores.
It
Defamation.
created a huge
Created a
at the
huge
time.
thing. And I remember I was very scared. I was
Okay.
very scared. There were a couple of reporters who called me and asked me my views. I remember I was in the bathroom that night. I was even more scared. But Porunjoy was never scared. Only today I know what he did. After this many years of doing stuff on my own, he just hit the ground running. And it's not that he didn't have his protections. He had his lawyers ready. He had stuff ready. So it was exciting, but for me personally, it was very scary, that whole 100 crore thing. And it never went out of me in those time I was with Porunjoy. And because I couldn't take ownership of the book as an author, I could never really, what should I say? I always used to cringe about it a bit. I had no problem in lambasting the Ambanis. I still would do it. But I did cringe I was scared. I was very scared. But PGT wasn't. We were, when the news came, PGT, I and another staffer in our office, we were in the car on the way to Prashant Bhushan's meeting at, I think it was at near Press Club somewhere. Okay. So Porunjoy got this news email about the 100 crore thing. The email came from the lawyers from the other side. So he calmly showed it to us at the back of the seat. I immediately shrunk. My colleague, who was a hard-nosed reporter, he was very joyful like the boss. And within the next 10 minutes, the car slid into the parking lot where Prashant Bhushan was talking. Porunjoy just went in, walked to Prashant Bhushan's side, and announced this whole thing to all the cameras. So that's what editors don't. We have a cigarette or we have a thing at the end and say, "Oh, bhai, mamla lag gaya," that kind of thing.
Behind the desk.
Behind the desk, "Arey baba, boss ne mamla laga diya," that kind of thing, right? But so Gas Wars was that you said. What else were you saying? Another thing you said, something I've forgotten.
You enjoy editing references.
Yes, it gives me.
Most people would find it, very.
No, but where did you
tedious.
find that? But I have an OCD about that, because see, my first editing experience was down to earth, and there was a lot, and DT down to earth books. Okay, CSE books. They had a lot of referencing, and Anil Agarwal was still alive then. He was a big guy for all this, and my boss Pratap Pandey, and who was also my teacher, he was fantastic on these things. So he had an OCD for this, and he had an OCD for style sheets or style guides. I was introduced to the Oxford, CMOS. Those were the ones we always use. I still use, not APA and all that. And they were and CSE had its own style guide, terrific style guide based on the economic style guide. So when we were doing books, we were supposed to maintain rules. So it got into me. And when you're very tired, nothing else is working, cleaning reference is a great therapy. Though I won't say I'd enjoy. See, now I'm on a different, I want to express myself. I want to go out there, talk, right? So I'm a little tired of them, but still I have that OCD. That's why in that healthcare book, it was not my job to do the reference, it is the authors. I started doing it because I realized the writers themselves, they were incapable of doing it. So I started, and that's where again, see, ICF comes back. Well, who's that sir from Pune who was with TRI? So he told us about Ski Hub the other day, SCIHUB. So I went up that website and found out a lot of the references. And once the references are laid out, it looks beautiful, and each referencing sheet is a story in itself. If you actually read the referencing sheet properly, this is what Pratap had taught me, that each referencing sheet, any list is a story in itself, because the list tells you what's happening in the book. So for academics, they often look at the references or the indexes, because that itself tells you the story of the book. And then you jump into the book. That is what we used to do as literature researchers also. We would move from the index to the books inside to get out the material. So that Pratap taught me, and that I realized any list is a story. Because you do an outline also to write a story, if you see it that way. So look at the reference as a story, it's fantastic then.
Really new perspective. Look at a reference as a story. I have never had to look at references. I edit fiction.
Yeah.
But great. It was really lovely talking to you and spending these.
So thank you for amplifying my voice. Thank you for amplifying my voice. These are marketing lingo.
Right. Vivek, over to you. Actually, by the way, it was Vivek who told me.
What?
About references.
Thanks, Dola. Thanks, Jyotirmoy. It was a very candid, interesting, and enriching interview. And the thing about references was mentioned in your interview with the website.
With Cynthia.
With Cynthia Williams. So that's where I read about it. And I'm happy to see Reena Singh also in the participants. She will be presenting a session on newspaper editing. So
great.
That session is going to come after Dola's session, and Dola's session will be on developmental editing. So Subinita, you can attend that also. It will give you more insights about the developmental editing process. And next Saturday, we will have a travel session series with Mr. Vikram Chaudhary from Financial Times. So please join us for that also. And I would like to thank Jyotirmoy particularly for the help he has been extending for the travel series session and helping us get interesting speakers. And Dola, we will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. And I hope a lot of your writers, friends and your clients will join us. I can see Sonia Rao also in the participants
she is here.
list.
Okay, great.
So before we end this session, if anyone wants to say a few words, they're welcome. Sanjeev, Sareen, Reena Singh, anyone?
Yeah, actually, it was quite interesting to hear Jyotirmoy. I didn't know he was a newspaper chap. I kind of felt at home. Well, similar language, which I've heard.
Ma'am, just for 4 months. Formal newspaper just for 4 months, yeah.
Yeah, but you spoke the language of journalists. You know, they speak differently. I have to watch my tongue wherever else I go.
But that's because, ma'am, Paranjoy, I think, and Sopan Joshi, maybe you know Sopan and all, you might even know if you were in...
No, but Paranjoy, yes.
Yeah, Paranjoy you would know, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd like to say something, if it's all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Sonia, please go ahead.
Because of fabulous session, I'm so I'm so unhappy I missed the beginning. And I'm sure I'm going to catch the recording a bit later. Dola did a fabulous job, and Jyotirmoy, it was fantastic to hear from you. You spoke about LinkedIn. I love that because I think we are so focused on Facebook. So I really found it very helpful, when you spoke about LinkedIn. I hope to explore it more for my own editing, activities. As you
But ma'am,
call it.
again, Dola, actually, I have not been able to answer this question. Why? Because Dola says, Facebook, you have more clients.
Yes, she said that.
So
Yes.
I am very clear. LinkedIn has now helped me to kind of get an identity. Let's put it this way: my identity crisis of the last many years, LinkedIn, let's say, helped solve in a way. Let's say.
Oh, fabulous.
Now I will have to see that client generating. I've still got only one client out of this system in the last 6 months. Okay, because I've been so busy into so many things, this personal's journey and all that. So I'll have to explore that, and I'm certainly going to explore the Facebook thing also. To get clients, we have to be there all over the place,
Can I,
but
can
no
I
other
add something
option.
here?
Yeah. Sorry, Tolu?
I just wanted to add this that Jyotirmoy, what I think that Facebook is definitely important, but being on LinkedIn adds more authenticity to our profiles, especially as freelancers.
Okay,
So eventually the clients will come from there also.
that's an interesting word, that word authenticity you use, because my marketing coach, she uses this word credible often.
Yes.
When I am, let's say when I'm designing my portfolio, when I'm talking, when I'm this thing. So this is a word she uses a lot, credible. So I think that, and yeah, so it's interesting that you bring this up. So maybe that is the reason we went in. See, a lot of it was because she said, let's go on to this if you're okay with this. So I moved on to that also. And Facebook, I didn't have too many people anymore because I deleted it. Otherwise, yes, I used to have a huge following there. And the whole 4G following I lost because I deleted the. Now I feel like a fool because many of them could be potential clients. But I had a huge 4G base because I had spent a lot of time in the 4G writing, editing circuit, you
Right.
know, in the
I
military
think when you,
industrial
I
crowd
think,
also.
I
Yes, a
think
lot of retired officers want to write books. That's
Yes, and some of this really bad stuff. But anyway,
I know, I know.
but fair enough. So I lost that whole clientele because of that.
so what else do you do, Jyotirmoy, to create awareness about your, that you are editing now? What else do you, I mean,
I am supposed to do videos now. I'm supposed to do I have a lot of tasks from my marketing coach, which, as I said, I've not been able to accomplish all of them because this learning itself has taken a lot more time than I could. And it's not that easy a journey. I'm right now doing my website on Wix. Okay. And I am not hiring anybody because I don't want to spend the money, and every penny is whatever has to be saved, sort of thing. But what happened was, 2 days back, there's something that has happened where the whole template has shifted. I
okay.
had already done so much work. I've already written so much stuff into it. Now the whole template has shifted. Now I don't know what to do, and I've been quite exhausted last 2 days. So I'm just saying. So these things take time. That's what I'm saying. If you are doing it all on a DIY thing, do it yourself stuff. When you are on a short budget, so for me, my fees to my brand coach are what's taking out whatever little extra I have every month. Okay.
Okay.
So these things one has to think of. But if you have somebody, if you have the money and the bandwidth and can do all these administrative things very quickly, it's good. But it's also great that you're doing it yourself because you start learning the language in an organic way. Like
Right.
this marketing kind of language, I'm not a marketer per se, but people, it's unbelievable. I can just go out and start talking and trying to sell my product all the time. I
Right.
never would have done this even 2 years back. I used to look down upon sellers. I come from a circuit which, looks down upon sellers.
Right.
The Dolomite is smiling. So I'm just saying, this attitudinal change takes time. So you must give yourself time when you get into these things. Don't hurry. It's really organic. It will grow, and always you learn some, you will lose some. And you see, we had gone on this journey, Sumedha and I, on a marketing plan, personal brand coaching. Where have we reached now? We have reached differently. But I am absolutely happy. But I'm going to recommend her to the world, for example. So on a client perspective, she has done very well. And I feel I have got my value, as they say. And I've learned a lot of stuff. So, all of these things happen. So in ICF, I was just thinking, volunteerism. So volunteerism, there is an end date. You can't be volunteering all the time. There is no money in it. But let's say when I write to somebody interesting for a travel show, that person gets to know me. I get to know them. I have their email. I am bold enough, I can start a conversation with them. And with some of them, I've had conversations, not all of them. So I've been writing a few letters for Vivek, or not Vivek, for ICF for the last 2-3 months, off and on when I have some time. Just contacting, just doing a little bit of admin. And when there are interesting people, they start talking. The good thing is, all these interesting chaps, they always talk to you. It's only those people who have funny notions about themselves, the really great people out there, the confident people, they always talk to you. They have lovely things to say to you and they encourage you. This is what I saw in the online world last year. And even this is an online world. I've met none of these people, Vivek and Dola and all, but I'm sometimes almost in daily touch with Vivek these days. And so I'm just saying, these conversations have helped me a lot. Matlab, personal way, and it has helped me frame the moving forward. So
pretty sure Sonia will agree with the volunteering thing, because she has been volunteering as a NaNoWriMo ML for almost 11. How many years, Sonia? 11 years now?
The 10th year this year.
10th year. So NaNoWriMo is this whole...
I live for it. So that is a different thing altogether.
For it. And that is probably the...
She does amazing work there.
So only because you live for it can you do a great job at it. Nothing can be forced on someone, and you can't force something on me and expect like me to surpass your expectations. That doesn't happen. So yeah,
so video is what
it's a lot of...
Right now I'm very ambitious. I want to do those videos that I'm supposed to do. I want to get good at that. Sometime I want to start being able to speak publicly. This is a personal achievement goal. This has nothing to do with directly with work, garnering work or something. And also I'm very clear, somewhere down the line, if my road veers off from editing per se on a day-to-day basis, like I've done to feed my tummy, I don't mind. That's what I'm saying. I'll keep doing this, because for editors, just pure editing, I don't know how much we can make a living. Though Vivek keeps telling me you can make a comfortable living. Dolas, but definitely. It's not that easy.
No, you can definitely make a comfortable living.
Yeah, but not the solo business. I'm new into it now, so I still don't know, where we'll reach. But I'm not scared of it anymore, thankfully. That's all I'm just saying. I'm ready to go swim, jump, hop, skip. Koi problem nahi. Enough is enough. You got to have fun. So that's it.
Yeah, we agree. We agree with that, Jyotirmoy. Sanjeev Sareen, would you like to answer Subinita's question on the courses thing that she had asked?
Sorry, I missed the question. Can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah, the question is it necessary to do a course on editing to be an editor?
I would think so. I would think it is necessary, because you see, editing, I believe, is much more than just merely knowing, having a good knowledge of grammar or English or even of the subject. There are a lot of technicalities involved which you will not know unless you take a course.
Thanks, Sanjay, for answering the question.
No, we all agree on that.
It's just like, it's like if you have, some problem with your eye, you would go to an eye specialist instead of going to a, say, general practitioner. It's like that. So an editor who specializes on whatever kind of editing they do, they will any day be preferred or paid better instead of someone who is just winging it because they are good in language or something. So yeah.
So Dola Basu Singh, are you bringing a fiction editing course into the Indian world? Are you planning?
I am already developing one course in collaboration with the Darling X. So David and I are talking about it on and off and creating that. And I'm also creating some videos for my own editing business, Shively.com. So yes, not in the near future, not immediately, but yes, it's in the pipeline.
Looking for discounts.
Definitely. Everything for ICF. No problems. For everyone in ICF.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can I just say a bit of my
Yes,
thanks
ma'am.
to everyone? So I think the best thing that happened last year is that I joined Remo India group and met Sonia ma'am and Dola ma'am, because for them, from Dola ma'am, I found about the ICF, and this was such an excellent session today to hear from the veterans. And thank you so much for everything. And I'll be joining tomorrow's webinar as well.
Great, great.
I look forward to it.
Promoted it in the group also, in our Rimo India group. I promoted it. So I'm really looking for a lot of people to join in. Can you hear me?
Thank
Sorry,
you. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yes, I just wanted to add one more point about learning, doing a course for editing. Yes, that is definitely important. But along with that, I think the editor should be quite familiar with the subject. So they should be reading a lot of books in that genre also. They should be, maybe trying to write also. So they understand the mechanics of the writing also. You can't just have a course and then believe that you can be a good editor, because most of it comes by subliminal learning. I feel, over the years, if you've been reading, you sort of understand the flow and all. Of course, the professional training is important, but along with that, your own aptitude does matter. Just my two points.
Definitely. If not writing, then at least reading in your genre. Very, very important.
It's definitely important if you want to be a writer that really adds value to your author.
Yeah, I just want to add here this what you said, ma'am, Sonia, what you said. I absolutely agree. But because I am one of those kind of editors who has read extensively, and that subliminal teaching has happened. But now I really, especially when you're selling your service somewhere, then you need to have that technical training, because it helps you formulate the pitch also. That's why I really feel the need for my fiction editing training now. Because just reading I have lots of these books. Just reading books doesn't happen. And that's where it's really makes a difference. I feel it's going to make a difference.
Super. Yeah.
That's I really think.
I think both of them go hand in hand. It's like the art and craft of writing. The art and craft of writing.
Agreed.
So either one of them are incomplete without the other.
True.
But it was an amazing session. Thank you so much, Jyotirmoy. It was a pleasure to join in. Thank you, Vivek. You are doing excellent work. I mean, you're doing an excellent initiative by, all these workshops and webinars. We're loving them. Thank you so much.
Vivek is like the holy shepherd.
Yes, absolutely great work. And we're loving it. We are the sheep, not sheeple, we are the sheep. Thank you, Dola, for the invite for this session. It was fabulous.
Thanks.
I've had to say now. I won't keep on talking now.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and have a nice evening. And just wanted to let you know that till now we have like 121 registrations for tomorrow, and going by our experience, we expect at least 60 plus to turn up. Like last Sunday we had 100, but let's see.
Wow.
Tomorrow at half century is certainly guaranteed, and we will hope for a century. That's all for now.
Thanks for making me more nervous.
All the best, Dola. Don't be nervous. We are rooting for you.
I'm actually excited to yap for 40 minutes.
Forward to tomorrow.
Great. See you, everyone.
Thank you.
Lovely meeting today.